We have Eternia's heroic master of weapons and the creator of all the cool MOTU gadgets on the examination table. So let's see what this new Eternia Man-at-Arms is all about. And before we dive into the review, smash that like button, turn on notifications, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss a beat. Hey everyone, welcome back to Toy Habits, and we are taking a detailed look at the new Eternia Man-at-Arms from Masterverse Wave 11 and comparing him to his Masters of the Universe Revelation and MOTU Classics figure. So let's start off like we usually do and take a look at the packaging. And let's start off by looking at Man-at-Arms package. Ugh, that just never comes out right. He is in the beautifully redesigned Masterverse box with the new Eternia branding at the bottom and this gorgeous Masterverse logo that harkens back to the original vintage figure design cards with the rock burst. And I'm loving this new box because we get to see the figure itself and this amazing illustration of Man-at-Arms. We have the Wind Raider flying above. We have a battle ram firing and opening salvo. We have the Eternian guards going into battle and these alien sky sleds that are descending above. I'm not really sure what those are, but they are super interesting, and if you know what they are, let us know in the comments below. We also have a beautiful illustration of Man-at-Arms, and it really harkens back to his original concept, which these new Eternia figures are all about. And I usually leave this part of the review out, and it's the literal unboxing of the figure, but since this is a new package design, I would like to show everyone what is inside the box. And so we have the Man-at-Arms figure that is just in a smaller clamshell to fit that window display that they have designed on the front. And really interesting here, they have put the weapons in a tissue paper. So they are typically on the bottom because that's the way gravity falls, but you can open them up here and they are wrapped in tissue and come out really easily. I prefer this because trying to get the accessories out of that plastic clamshell is a nightmare. But anyways, this is the process that you need to go through, and let's take a look at Man-at-Arms figure in more detail. All right, and now that Man-at-Arms is out of the box, we can take a closer look at the figure details. And first impression, this Man-at-Arms is really, really stunning. They did a fantastic job on the head sculpt as well as the helmet. There is the electrical circuit detail that usually adorns the helmet, and it's got a nice line like a crest running down the middle of it. And I think they really nailed the look of Man-at-Arms in this new Eternia version. Now, this version does come with a surprise, and you can actually take the helmet off, which is really amazing. And you can see on the inside of the helmet that there are lines and grooves that line up with Man-at-Arms' head. And this is great because we can finally get a version of Man-at-Arms in this particular scale that doesn't have a helmet. Now, his downtrodden look, you can argue, yes, we did get an unhelmeted version there, but for a new Eternia version that rivals the classic series, this is a step up. And you can see they even have some detail here for his ears so he can actually hear. And overall, fantastic face sculpt. The mustache looks amazing. Very leaned into the Tom Selleck look here, and also the bushy eyebrows are great too. And it's really easy to take these helmets on and off, and they really snap in because of the grooves that are present on the head sculpt. All right, and looking at the armor is a very vibrant orange, and it has some gold accents, and it's really well done. It also has the furry parts of his armor, and it looks amazing. And on the back, you can see the eagle that signifies the Man-at-Arms figure and the guard, and also very cool surprise, you can also stow his weapon in the back here, which is great. Now there's another surprise on the back armor here where you can actually remove this piece. if you would like to take it out. And basically this just becomes a standard Man-at-Arms armor, but it actually leaves these really ugly holes in the back. But typically you are posing your figures from the front, so you probably are not going to be noticing it, or it probably won't make a huge difference. I'm not really sure why this piece comes off, but it's really easy to put on and off. And moving to his armored arm, there is a huge piece of shoulder armor here, and it's very awesome that they have a cross of the swords here, and who doesn't like a good sword cross now and again? We have the Lego kind of bumps that usually adorn Man-at-Arms armor, and we have his forearm armor, which is actually two separate pieces that are joined together by this little notch here. So they are actually two pieces of armor, but it solves the long issue of Man-at-Arms armor slipping down past his shoulders and also from his wrists. All right, his right arm is just a standard MOTU arm, nothing special there, and it looks like the wrist cuffs can be removed in this version, which is great. He's got some nice cut abs. Man-at-Arms has been working out at the Eternia gym, and he's got a very different loincloth than we've seen before. So this harkens back to his concept, and it's really nice. And the detail makes it look like it's a leathery piece, if you can see the texturing there. His belt has a nice red emblem in the middle, and let's take a look around to see the hiney view, and the loin armor looks great all the way around. Man-at-Arms is definitely showing some leg here on the right side, and you also have this ginormous piece of leg and shin armor that covers his entire lower left leg. And this piece is actually sculpted in to the figure, which is great because you won't have that awkwardness of it falling down, coming off, or doing any other silly things. We also have a nice shoe design here and boot, and all around this figure is fantastic. And he does come with an alternate head sculpt as well. So let's take a look at Man-at-Arms accessories and the things that he comes with. All right, and Man-at-Arms comes with some great accessories here. He comes with 2 extra hands, which we're going to leave there because nobody wants to see hands. He has his mace and his ball and chain attachment, which we will show you how that works in a bit. He does come with an extra head sculpt, and it operates just like the version that comes packed with the figure with the mustache. The helmet is removable, which is a great addition. So let's take a look at the mace. And the mace is very detailed. It's very classic Man-at-Arms. There are 2 paint apps on this particular piece. One is more of a lighter orange, and the ball is a darker orange, and the piece looks great. It kind of has a metallic sheen to it. And one really interesting thing, I was like, okay, well, how are they going to handle the ball and chain? And look at that. It just comes off really easily. You can set this down and you can turn it into the mace with the ball attached to the chain. Now, I'm not sure how I feel about this chain. I might have wanted more of a real chain so it hangs down, or you can do some extra things with it, but then it will never be standing upright like this. So I'm kind of torn. What does everyone else think about this particular accessory? So it's very unique, and it's got some detail on the inside too. And the cool part about Man-at-Arms armor is you can stow his mace on his back here. So you can have it face down where you can kind of see the handle over the shoulder here. And you can also situate it like this where you can see the mace over the shoulder. And I kind of like this view a little better just because the mace is more interesting at the head than it is at the handle. And let's take a look at his alternate head. And just like the one that comes packed with the figure, it just has a different face expression, just minus the mustache. It also has the same ear detail and also the same grooves, so his helmet can fit over his head really nicely. And this is a different style helmet, which is cool. This harkens back to previous versions of Man-at-Arms that we're used to. And so the thing here, you just pop this in, and the grooves settle in, and you have a very nice Man-at-Arms head, which really looks like the classic head that we're used to from the vintage Masters of the Universe figures and also the MOTU Classics versions. And since this new Eternia version does come with a removable helmet, which was brilliant, Mattel, great job there, you can swap out the helmet to make him look more traditional like he did in the MOTU Classics era. And I love the way that these helmets fit. They're very snug and they don't look oversized. And I think it's the way that the figurehead was sculpted and engineered, and it just looks fantastic. All right, let's check out some shots of Man-at-Arms all geared up. And here's Man-at-Arms with his standard mace. And something that I didn't realize until now is the mace color actually does not blend in with his body armor, which is great, as a lot of the vintage and MOTU Classics and also the Revelation figures, they pretty much matched directly the armor color. So it's actually very nice that they took that into account. I don't know if that was an accident or not, but it is what it is. And with a simple pop of the mace head off, we can switch up his look, and we can put his, oops, sorry about that. We can put his mace on him, and he looks fantastic with this. Now, again, he might have looked better if this was an actual chain, and I'm expecting some customizers out there to actually do this particular customization, and it probably isn't hard. You just basically dig out the plastic and cut the ball from the plastic chain, but it looks really weird like this just standing up. It kind of looks like he has a Mace ice cream cone or a lollipop. But if you pose him with his arms down, it looks a little bit more realistic like that. But who's going to be doing that? Probably nobody. All right, and let's see how Man-at-Arms looks with his alternate head sculpt. All right, and here's Man-at-Arms with his alternate head sculpt, and the facial design and facial expression are really done very nicely here. He's got some nice high cheekbones. He doesn't have a mustache in this particular version, which is nice because we've seen him clean shaven and with a stash. His helmet design is amazing, which I referenced earlier. It just harkens back to the original Man-at-Arms that we all know and love. And you can also take this helmet off, if I can get it off. There we go. And here's how he looks with his helmet off. So let's get a farther shot so you can see. And now that I look at this, it kind of looks like that Dragon's Lair video game character that was from the 80s. All right, it's comparison time, and I brought in the first release of Man-at-Arms, his Masters of the Universe Revelation figure, and we are also comparing him to his MOTU Classics version. So let's start off first with the Revelation version. All right, and comparing the Revelation version of Man-at-Arms to the new Eternia version, you can definitely see the difference in armor color here. We have the more vibrant orange on the new Eternia Man-at-Arms and the more darker orange on the Revelation figure. And this was something that I had just mentioned too in looking at the Mace. The Mace coloring is really similar to the armor coloring in the Revelation version, and so I do like the difference in color and contrast that Mattel did with this particular Mace for the new Eternia version. And the armor is also different. You know, of course, the Revelation version came from the Netflix series, and so this is Netflix series accurate, and so it's probably not fair to compare armor to armor, but we do have a similar armor style and pack out for Man-at-Arms. So we do have the Lego piece of armor, and one of the things that I do not like about this armor is that this constantly is loose and falling down. I feel like either I'm doing something wrong, like that little kid said on Mr. Mom, Dad, you're doing it wrong. All right, and moving down to the loincloths, we do have a difference in loincloth, as the new Eternia version is not reusing the same stock loincloth that all of the Masters of the Universe Masterverse figures seem to get. And we do have some differences in the leg armor here. Again, this version is built in and sculpted on his leg versus this piece is removable. I do like the fact that they put some color on Man-at-Arms boots in this one, but the brown is really dull, and so I think it could have used some paint app to spice it up a little bit. But all right, let's turn these guys around and see what we can see from the back. And yeah, I mean, these two styles of figures are very different from each other, but we'll see more similarities, I'm sure, in the MOTU Classics comparison coming up next. All right, and taking a look at the MOTU Classics figure versus the new Eternia figure, I did a little switcheroo with the helmet from the mustacheless head sculpt just to see how these two compared. And you can see where Mattel is drawing their inspiration from with the styles of the helmets here. And of course, the helmet on the new Eternia figure is very streamlined, and it really goes nicely with the whole design of the figure. And if you take a look at the MOTU Classics versions just as on their own, they are a more chunkier buck. Everything looks a little wider and bigger proportion, except for Man-at-Arms' little dinky mace that he has here. I wish that was bigger, but sometimes we wish so many other things were bigger too. The armor detail looks very similar to one another, as well as the side armor here, minus the addition of the crossing of the swords, illustration, and sculpt on the shoulder armor. But again, this particular version of Man-at-Arms, in the Classics version, the armor tends to fall down as it gets stretched out over time. And looking at the rears of the figures, you can also see just all of the added detail that came with the MOTU Classics sculpt. And this is apropos for MOTU Classics because they were premium figures at the time, but you can also see that you can stow the weapons in similar ways in each figure. And moving to the loincloth comparisons, man, the MOTU Classics era wore short shorts. Wasn't that a Nair commercial? He wears short shorts? I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. But the loincloths are definitely much smaller in the Classics era versus the loincloths in this new Eternia version. All right, and moving down to the leg armor, we have the removable piece of leg armor that's on the Classics figure, and again, the armor is built in to the figure in the new Eternia version. And both of these figures look really stunning, and I love the way that the alternate helmet looks on this figure because it goes really, really well and harkens back to the Classics version. And that's a wrap on the review for the new Eternia Man-at-Arms. And don't forget to visit our website at www.toyhabits.com, where you can see an outstanding still image review, and let us know what you think about this figure in the comments below. And as always, thank you for tuning into this Toy Habits review, and don't forget to smash that like button on your way out. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, we would really appreciate it. See you next time.